Hey, this is Daniel with Classic Promenade, and today we have the 1965 Ford Mustang Convertible. I'm going to go over the exterior, interior, and some of the mechanical imperfections that we found throughout this inspection video. For details on the undercarriage and pictures of when this car was up on the lift, do refer back to the pictures in the photo reel of this listing. So starting with the paintwork on the exterior of this car, first of all, the car has been repainted. I've taken a paint meter to every different body panel on the vehicle, and it measured anywhere between about 13 up to about 23 was what I was seeing. So clearly has been repainted, but overall the condition of the paint is really very good. There's a lot of shine to it, a lot of depth. It looks fantastic even in direct sunlight. And it's not until you really start getting up close that you do notice some things. You know, there is what looks like a little scratch mark there, and someone's taken some touch-up paint to it. And you'll notice just throughout very, very minor stuff, rock chips, just nothing that would be considered offensive or ruin the overall appeal of this car, but it's not a perfect paint job by any means. You know, here again, this is probably the biggest paint imperfection I've seen, and it's fairly deep. I mean, you could put touch-up paint on that, but that is probably the biggest scratch that I've noticed. Coming along to the back, there's a couple very small ones here, right there. And notice that as well there. Likewise, chrome work along this windshield. So you get up a little bit closer to it, you can see that there are, there's swirl marks, and here's where the roof makes contact with the windshield. So it's not what you'd call a 6-footer. It's definitely better than that, but getting up close, you can see that it's not perfect. Moving to the interior, overall, I was really impressed with the overall condition of this. In the description of this car, I've written about the pony interior and why that's a significant feature for this vehicle. But really, my impressions are very good. Everything's clean, it feels solid. A lot of the contact points, where where your hand would normally go to, or all feel solid. They're not greasy. There's no wear marks or anything. I did notice that there's this rip in the seat down here, as well as this is starting to come apart here on the driver's side. The passenger side, however, does not have that. Likewise, in the door jambs, it's showing a little bit more age, as you can see, even right in there. The dashboard is free of any cracks or any warping, which is really nice to see. This door panel also looks really, really good. There is, this fabric's kind of coming off in there, which you don't see it, but it is there. There are also, if you can see, there's like some scuff marks, and that's kind of present on back of both of these window reels. You can see that. It's a little bit coming apart right there. There's also something weird going on with this door. I shouldn't say weird, it's just unexpected. The door opens and closes totally fine, but it feels, again, I don't know how to explain this. Generally, when you have a door and you don't close it all the way, there's that kind of intermediate lock where the door is a little loose. This door has that, but you can't feel it when you close it. So the only way to close it properly is to put a little more force in than what you would expect, but it does close and lock properly. So here with the engine and the drivetrain, everything looks really, really well put together, very clean. I mean, there are some minor imperfections with the paint up here, but by and large, this engine's really impressive. You probably have noticed from the other driving video, or if you've read the description on this car already, that there is a pretty loud ticking sound from the lifters. I've spoken to the owner about this car, or rather this problem, and he said that when the engine was first rebuilt, it was quiet, and then he had parked it for a while, went to go and turn it on again, and it started making that clicking sound that you've probably heard. He suspects that it is one of the lifters. However, he doesn't know if it's a mechanical or a hydraulic system, and we haven't, at this point of me making this video, looked into it any further. As we get more updates on what the situation is, or if it's something that we've been able to repair, I'll post another video and make a comment on the listing with an update. And lastly, here in the trunk, it's also by and large a pretty clean spot. You can see some staining on the mat, as well as some chips, or flaking rather, in the paint. But looking in here, very clean. It doesn't smell, musky or anything. And I've taken all of this apart, and underneath everything is also really, really clean and largely rust-free. So there you go. Those are my quick impressions of this 65 Mustang and some of the imperfections that I have found cosmetically throughout the vehicle. I've also had the opportunity to drive this car out on the road, got it up to about 60, 65 miles an hour, and by and large was really impressed with just how smooth it was, the performance that this car's got, and how easy it is to drive. It doesn't have power steering, so that is a bit of a thing with some of the lower speeds in and around, just getting in and out of the building here. But once you're on the road, it drives totally fine. Check the 158-point inspection report that we've got. There are a couple other just very, very minimal items that might need a little bit of attention to really make this car perfect. What I've covered here has just been kind of the cosmetic stuff. And at the time of this recording, again, that valve noise is present. And as I mentioned, we're gonna look into it a little bit more and see if it's something that we're either gonna fix or what can be done to address that. So stay tuned for that as well.